Hey you guys, and welcome back to yet another video. In today's lesson, we're going to learn how to divide multi-digit numbers. And here are a couple key terms, well, quite a few actually. Quotient, remainder, algorithm, unbundle, divisor, and dividend. But what do they mean? You guys always ask the best questions. The quotient is the answer you get when you divide. The remainder is what's left over in a division problem. An algorithm, we already know this from our previous lesson, is a procedure used to solve a mathematical computation. Unbundle means to simply regroup using disks. Divisor, the number of groups your number is being divided into. And dividend, the number being divided. Let's get started. We're going to be using two different strategies in order to divide two problems today. The first is our place value chart and disks, and the second strategy is the algorithm. Let's get started. My first problem, I have 694 divided by 3. 694 represents my dividend. It's the number being divided. And the 3 represents my divisor. It's the number of groups I'm going to break apart or decompose 694 into. So if I'm using a place value chart, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to model my dividend on my chart. And I know that in 694, I have 6 hundreds, 9 tens, and 4 ones. Now that I've modeled my dividend, it's now time for me to decompose my place value chart into the number of parts represented by my divisor. So how many parts would I be breaking apart or decomposing my place value chart into? Yeah, easy peasy. I'm decomposing it into 3 parts. And the reason why I'm only starting at my hundreds is because my dividend only goes up to the hundreds. Next is my favorite part, you guys. All I'm going to do is simply distribute my hundreds until I run out. And I'm going to distribute my hundreds into each group. Remember though, your groups need to be even. Make sure that you're crossing out your hundreds or your disks as soon as you use them, just so you don't confuse yourself. I don't have any more hundreds to use, so now I'm going to move on to my tens, doing the same thing. Don't forget to cross out your tens. I also ran out of tens, which means I can now move on to my ones. Doing the same thing as I did before, evenly distributing my tens disks to each group. Uh-oh. This last one cannot go into any of my groups because that would mean my groups would be uneven. So what does this last disk represent? If you said it represents my remainder, you are absolutely correct. Now that I've determined what my remainder is, it's now time for me to find my quotient. Remember, my quotient is the answer I get when I divide. In order to find my quotient, I'm going to look at one of my groups. Only one of my groups. And I know that if I'm looking at this one group, I have 2 hundreds, 3 tens, and 1 1, which in standard form is just 231. But don't forget about your remainder. I had 1 disk left over. So 694 divided by 3 equals 231, remainder 1. Let's do the same problem using an algorithm. And here's a little song that I use to help me Solve my algorithm problem super quickly. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. I'm dividing 3 into 6. How many times does 3 go into 6? That's right, 2 times. Don't forget to check off division after you've used it, just so that you know what step comes next. What do I do next? That's right, multiply. 3 times 2. Good job. What comes next? That's right, subtract. 6 minus 6. Easy peasy. Bring it on down and bring it on back. I'm bringing down my 9, and bring it on back simply means I'm starting from the beginning. Divide, multiply. Oh, you need to be singing with me. Come on, guys. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. What am I dividing? Yeah, that's right. 3 goes into 9 how many times? Good thinking. 3 goes into 9 3 times. What comes next? Good. Multiply. 3 times 3. Good. 9. And what comes next? Good. Subtract. 9 minus 9. Easy peasy. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 3 goes into 4. That's right, it goes in 1 time. Multiply. 3 times 1. Good thinking. 3. Subtract. 4 minus 3. Good. 1. Bring it on down and bring it on back. There's nothing else to bring down. There's nothing left to bring back. So I know that I'm done. What does this number represent? That's right. It represents my remainder. And what about this number? Yeah, it represents my quotient. The answer that I got when I divided 694 into 3 groups. Let's try another problem using the same strategy as before, our place value chart. Remember, 1,716 is my dividend. It's the number that I'm going to be dividing. And 3 is my divisor. It's the number of groups. Let's go ahead and model 1,716 on our chart. I have 1,000, 700s, 110s, and 6 ones. How many groups am I going to decompose my place value chart into? Ugh, you guys are so smart. That's absolutely correct. I'm decomposing my place value chart into 3 groups because my divisor is 3. And now let's go ahead and distribute my thousands. Do you see the problem that I see? That's right. I don't have enough thousands in order to distribute 1,000 to each group because I have 3 groups. So instead, I'm going to need to unbundle. Here's the thing, you guys. Remember back to our very first lesson in this standard. We learned about the different place values. And we learned that thousands is blank times as many as hundreds. Fill in that blank. Thousands is blank times as many as hundreds. That's right. Thousands is 10 times as many as hundreds. I know this because when I move to the left, I multiply by 10. When I move to the left, I multiply by 10. So I know that in order for me to unbundle, I'm going to need to turn my thousands into hundreds. Remember, thousands is 10 times as many as hundreds. So that means that 1,000 equals 10 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go ahead and cross out your thousands. We no longer have use for it. And now I'm in my hundreds place. I know that altogether now I have 17 hundreds. Now we can go ahead and distribute my hundreds to each group. Don't forget to cross them out. And I just ran into an error, you guys. Because I have 2 hundreds left over, but I have 3 groups that I need to distribute my hundreds into. So I'm going to need to do the same thing I did for my thousands. I'm going to need to unbundle. Hundreds is blank times as many as tens. That's right. Hundreds is 10 times as many as tens. I have 2 hundreds. So that means that I'm going to have 20 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And all together now I have 21 tens because I had 1 10 in my original dividend. Let's go ahead and distribute my tens. Don't forget to cross them out. We're almost there, you guys. Woo, perfect. We had just enough tens to distribute them evenly to our 3 groups. Let's do the same thing for our ones. And we had just enough ones. Awesome. Remember, in order for us to find our quotient, we're going to need to look at one group. How many hundreds do I have? Yep, I have 5 hundreds. How many tens? Yep, 7. And how many ones? Yep, 2. In this case, I don't have a remainder because I didn't have any left over, which means that 1,716 divided by 3 is just 572. Let's go ahead and do this problem using an algorithm. Remember that song, divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. And set up your problem. Your divisor going outside of your house and your dividend inside of your house. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 3 goes into 1. How many times? Yeah, 3 cannot go into 1. So what do I need to do next? That's right. Now, instead of dividing 3 into 1, I'm going to divide 3 into 17. I'm now going to move on to my hundreds place. 3 goes into 17. How many times? Yeah, it goes in 5 times. I know this because 3 times 5 is 15, which gets me closest to 17, because 3 times 6 would get me over 17. Remember, next is multiply. 3 times 5. That's right, 15. And subtract. Good, 2. Bring it on down and bring it on back. I brought down my 1 to make 21. 3 goes into 21. Divide. That's right. 3 goes into 21 7 times. Multiply. 3 times 7 is 21. Subtract. 21 minus 21 is 0. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 3 goes into 6. 2 times. Good. Multiply. 3 times 2. That's right. 6. Subtract. 6 minus 6. That's right. 0. Nothing else to bring down, nothing else to bring back. 1,716 divided by 3 equals 572. You'll notice that we got the same problem when we used an area model. The choice is yours with what strategy you want to use. Until next time, see you.